Laboni, Musumfa La Paz car, Nabisi or La Paz, Usi La Paz, Las Palmas restaurant anymore, Winya Sutum cow, catching me to be so rescue junction. Caswan important for Edna Muabisi Malam Junction, Musumfa La Paz car, Nabisi or Kashima, bus stop, Usi bus stop, Sutum cars agent now, Fabi, now Subisi rescue junction. Usi rescue junction, Brofat to be or acquire that Brofat in Faso. The signboard is with him. Signboard no a chiro kwan efa obenkum na onso abeka hu bi. Jumedi e sha se anopa no nson na duba ko ne fa na yapon. Odofo Awurade mu Bible say
Yamawa Joe, Emo Kwaba Joe by Nsroma Kaseɛbɔ, Apam TV, and Nsroma Kaseɛbɔ. Some for modern son so courage, dear Maya Ninu, and Yesunkunda, never became kind a day amamu, and there a quada. I young whom mobile so many that also and 9. I won't film pinum edrenu enum echi. And some nedos papa ye na ube dimwa kutana na ube ti ebi ewomu and say. I bet 4 born 9 akoko pie Morgana Mampeni and so. Ono akasa ede afa eye enwoma ahodo bebre se ne beboa ma ye nwoma ye de konkofo nkrosu no sidi no ene dollar no nwoma betumi ejina yiye ewo mu
sa enso na energy minister ede ensembi atodwa wabra mahebedwafo eto onsa frɛ ne se omra no mechechemu containers na eyirae no
embenifo ho nsensemi a wonu kohia Ghana Mampeni wona kasa ede afa ekuafo eho
Mahama Ayariga oye openi a oda edom kese no ano wakasa Ochire mu se eye MCE for no esika na edile ye no sisi ade niam da na akwan mu
Yoko fufuro ya abe wono ede atu ejase wo hia se Mama Cecilia Abnadapa ensem no besan so ekenyan no ebiem
Ghana Mampeni enso ede ensem bi tu dwa ne ochire mu se wono no de se emra ene wo edia anase emra no so opa achi a wonya ade ase obeka bi ede ama
Weni ensam ahodo edihwe editie ene yede ba besom ewo Nsroma Kaseɛbɔ ewo Apam TV atone din Nsroma Kaseɛbɔ na sa yonti yede na sen be ma Apam Global Church asafo no sadane den na penifo so yemuma yemu eyeduru etanse penifo kase ansa na homa beduru so no enam dua so ene de behu nti Apam Global Church asafo no ena dane den na yede kase no yede ebesom na sa yonti obode ya adom akina ya wada empire bokese bekoso ewo fidue mu ha Unimu bi asabi oyade unimu bi ayade bi ahye de ho ache aye kwankon yade wakoa enye yie kan na hye so say nipa obetumi asa yade no etu ase kudo kra de amawo eni che de amponya nkopɔ edi ti be bibia wo bia se adwuma na wo ye na nko yie nyoma bi na aye bizi basa edi amawo apam fie hanko a ena mekanfo edi amawo hwehwe ye kira kwan ewo so chem rescue point osom no sha se wo bra no nson abo 11:30 ne de osom no akwa akoku enchechemu no nyina no ubenya ewo 0249 669993 0249669993 and 0540 3782282 0540 3782282 na ni pedifo achiche enkomo akenkan for no me na ama Fordjour mene
ka chire nua nana ya Sikapa
eni de me ho me kase ade so mbra tiawa ne ba ensam ne bekenkan ede amam
Mo se ojebre ema ye twa ye husima eba ye to aso
ye bo Ryan Samino ankasa enche mudia na ye ko Ghana Mampeni His Excellency Ora John Dramani Mahama Akache eya dia Federation of Association of Ghanaian Exporters ebedufo abomodin akoswe opening no enaso ni na elese timemufo ne omanfo kasa se dollar na sisia no atofom na sidi no ejina no wan sha na amagedie ni nneoma ye be kradie firo manmudi akọ na wode aba no na akwakoye bizibasa eno no enam so ama edwumekuo yi wono titiremu ni abomodin akasa ede ato Ghana Mampeni enim se onhye na onye bribi enfamfa ho.
Is responding quite positively to the budget, and you can see it in the appreciation of the cedi, the reduction in the deficit, and general macroeconomic stability, return of investor confidence, and all that. And so I can assure you that in managing the economy together with the Minister of Finance, the Governor of the Bank, you can count on us to make sure that we manage the economy properly. Because if we don't, it affects your businesses. When the economy goes out of gear, it affects your businesses directly. And so I can assure you that we will continue to prudently manage the economy so that you have a predictable environment in which you can make investments, knowing that your return on investments would keep your businesses going. The recent appreciation in the value of the cedi is one that we have kept watching. As the cedi started to strengthen and the dollar depreciated, with our A-level economics, we all know that it's a balance between imports and exports. What it means is that it makes your imports cheaper and your exports more expensive. And so there must be a fair balance to try and achieve the true value of the cedi. Some people say, oh, it will come down to 4. But of course, we know the true value of the cedi is not 4. And if it went as far down as 4, it will kill all your export businesses. And so myself, the governor, and the finance minister met and discussed it. And they think that the real value of the cedi is anywhere between 10 and 12. Luckily, the Forex auction has brought it to just above 10, and it appears to have stabilized there. So I think that going forward, anything between 10, 11, and 12 as a band where the cedi operates will be a fair value, both to encourage our exports, but at the same time not make imports so cheap that importers will flood our markets with toothpicks and, biscuits and coconut and all those.
Wasansem na emu ena Openi Davis or the Federation of Association Ghanaians Export for Anono or the NCMB to just say Ghana man penny emo modiano unchoneni emehwe wo mo isan say one mo ewo e haw pa che say uju ho kra nji enti no wo sre wo de ani die koma Ghana man penny say wabra omo haw no ekosoro no na omo problem na na ekosoro no enti wo sre say Ghana man penny emo modian enchoneni emehwe wo mo o kire mu say
progress facilitated progress on eliminating non-tariff barriers like frustrating custom procedures at border points and harmonizing standards. We need strategic investment in logistics infrastructure like intra-Africa highway, reliable shipping lines, and payment systems that facilitate intra-African trade. We know the Bank of Ghana is working on seamless payments across Africa with the next-gen digital payment infrastructure DPI projects. We urge Your Excellency to provide all the necessary support to accelerate this. Your Excellency, our upcoming Ghana Horticulture Expo 2025, scheduled for June 11 to 13, which you have been invited as a special guest and to deliver the keynote address, operates under the theme, Innovate, Transform, Sustain, Driving Growth in Ghana's horticulture sector. This expo represents more than just an event. It is a declaration of our collective ambition for Ghana's horticulture sector and our commitment to positioning Ghana as a leading horticulture hub in Africa. The expo will serve as a platform to rally the sub-region and all of Africa around meaningful trade engagement, creating a marketplace that connects Africa producers and buyers while showcasing Ghana's agricultural excellence to the world. Events of this magnitude and the transformation we envision succeed only through strong collaboration and partnership. We express our profound gratitude to our partners, Gesell Fidelity Bank, GIZ, Ghana Exim Bank, the Multimedia Group, AgriMonti, and AgroCity, and all member associations. We extend a special appreciation to the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, especially to their CEO, for his unwavering partnership and continuous financial, technical, and policy support. CEO, we are grateful to you.
Ejinemu ewo Federation of Association of Ghanaian Sporters wonuju media wonu ekodiye ewo Ghana Mampeni and so what there are two ages say I was a Ghana Mampeni de inhihye gu akwanso se ne beboa amakuafo wonuju media wodi no ehu ebetumi abamfaso na aboa oman Ghana empuntuo.
The cultural transformation agenda depends fundamentally on providing effective, comprehensive support to our farmers and exporters to enable them to scale their operations. And we respectfully appeal for urgent government attention to the following critical areas. 1, financial inclusion and credit access. Make the acquisition of credit less burdensome for farmers, processors and exporters through streamlined process and reduce bureaucratic bottlenecks. Significantly reduce interest rates on agricultural loans to make them accessible to small and medium-scale farmers. Technical and capacity building support. Provide modern agricultural extension services with focus on climate-smart farming techniques. Support farmer organizations and cooperatives to achieve economies of scale. Invest in agricultural research and develop to improve crop variety and farming methods. Your Excellency, we gather at the time when global trade faces unprecedented challenges. Recent protectionist policies in traditional export markets underscores the urgency of diversifying our market focus. Rather than viewing these challenges as insurmountable obstacles, we see them as opportunities to redirect our energies towards markets where Ghanaian products have distinct competitive advantages, particularly within the Africa continent and emerging markets in Asia and Middle East. Fetch and GEPA have partnered to promote some 8 products we have a competitive advantage into the global market. Our impressive production portfolio speaks volumes about potential of these 8 commodities, namely chili, pepper, pineapple, mango, sweet potatoes, yam, fonio, and coconuts. We request Your Excellency support in developing this portfolio further to drive wealth creation for our country. Your Excellency, as we approach the products are coconuts, mango, maize, coconut, mango, pineapple, sweet potatoes, yam, and fonio.
Yegusua Apam Kodiana Yediani Etremu Ewo Doctor Johnson Esiama Akache or Governor for Bank of Ghana. Openi edi ensem atuja ni nsema waka nyina ene se enipa bebre na edi wonumu esika ekosika krabia ne se omunko yia eya charges a bankers for no eti efiri so no ya na ebi wo mu pa enti wo srese sa niama ni nyina ebi onuma na obi ni dwetire odi ni dwetire nyina aba beto bank na oba be yia sika eye omo a omu be giska na mano no omu be tie efiri so no enye sika kakraka enye sika keto akra sika no asunye enti wo srese adwumadi ni nyina wode ne nan eba besi fam na eto echa.
Finalizing comprehensive digital lending guidelines which will be issued hopefully by August this year. And this also is an urgent and necessary intervention that the bank has to make. Today, colleagues, there are too many Ghanaians, especially young people and informal workers, that are being lured by online lending platforms that make bold promises, often only to turn around and trap them in cycles of hidden fees, harassments, or even worse. We have received reports of individuals being threatened, in some cases, individuals being shamed, or individuals being scammed, all under the guise of assessing what they call quick loans. We cannot allow this to continue. And so we want to put an end to this. The upcoming guidelines, which will be released soon, will bring clear, enforceable standards to both bank-led and non-bank digital lending models. The guidelines will set rules around, for example, licensing and authorization, but also disclosure and interest rate transparency, issues about data protection and customer privacy, and finally, ethical recovery and collection practices. Our goal in this is twofold. We want to protect borrowers, especially the most vulnerable, from exploitation. And secondly, we want to enable responsible, well-regulated digital lenders to be able to thrive. If your institution, colleagues, is active in digital lending, whether directly or through third parties, colleagues, now is the time to review your models and prepare for compliance.
Apam so dia na ye ko enkane soafo abediechire edema asoya na ehye insuo enjuma ane adansi eso metre Deputy Minister for Water Resources and Work and Housing Mami Cecilia Abnadapa yenye yenim se emfi bebre na ba besin eko ensem bi beto eja se ukọ eyenifia na dwuma yefo ne housemaid fo etebiri ni sika ni jewelries ni niam akoto bebre edi firi ho nsem we beto emonte no soro ipenifo bo modern chi asemi asre ne abasa ye papa and it wono bo modern edi asabno ekodan Office of the Special Prosecutor echire no wodane no edema yoko na sisie no impenifo ba be kasa yoko fufure ya be wono aba be kasa se wo be se wo sanso kenya asab no ye nhihwemu no wo hu ni se eye pepepe ana edasen
Abena Dapa. It will be recalled that the Office of the Special Prosecutor commenced investigation in July 2023 in respect of suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses regarding large amounts of money and other valuable items involving Ms. Cecilia Abena-Dapa, a former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, and her associates. After nearly 7 months of extensive investigation by the OSP and a parallel inquiry by the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the United States, no direct and immediate evidence of corruption was found in respect of seized funds and frozen bank accounts linked to Ms. Dapa and her associates, though the investigation identified strong indications of suspected money laundering and extraction beyond the direct mandate of the OSP. In January 2024, the OSP referred the case to the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, for commencement of investigation into identified indications of suspected money laundering and extraction, which are under the direct mandate of EOCO. In May 2024, EOCO returned the entire docket back to the OSP on the back of their reasoning that since money laundering is not a substantive offense, but a collateral offense which must be founded on a predicate offense, EOCO did not have a mandate to commence investigations into the matter since it could not premise its investigation on any predicate offense. By a letter dated 14 May 2025, the new leadership of EOCO requested the OSP to forward the docket back to EOCO for a review and commencement of investigation. Under the cover of communication dated 29 May 2025, the OSP forwarded the duplicate docket of the case back to EOCO. It is our considered opinion that the docket serves as a valuable background resource for EOCO to commence its own investigation in respect of aspects of the case the OSP does not have a direct mandate. The OSP would lend its full collaborative support to EOCO in its review and investigation and
Yeguswa jinemu ewo Office of the Special Prosecutor na so ye ora kisi ajaben e din sembia ba betuja se corruption bi akoso na say obi atabri sika bi a enya ne dia ewo National Petroleum Authority for Asiaye Enuntino Obebo Modian Sisiano Obabe Fefi Neni na odene na esifem nechese bebi asika no efaye no mabo modian enya adraje ahwehwemu ehune se sika no se ewo bebi pa ana se eni bebi pa o kire mu se sika chichiri die eye 2.8 million Ghana cedis ena afa edwumadie ensase enuntino obehwe na katasehye ene prayer ne kankan bi ekoso no wohu baby e free.
2024, the OSP commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of the operations of National Petroleum Authority, NPA, and the activities of some of its officials. The OSP investigation has revealed that between 2022 and 2024, some high-ranking and other officials of NPA devised and implemented a corrupt scheme of using public office for profit through threats, intimidation, coercion, suggestions, bribery, and inordinate regulatory duress to obtain for their personal benefit large sums of money from oil marketing companies and other entities under their statutory regulatory, licensing, oversight, and monitoring mandates in the petroleum downstream industry. As at the close of business on 30 May 2025, the OSP had uncovered, through tracing and trailing, an amount of 280,516,127 cedis and 19 pesos, being proceeds of the corrupt scheme, some of which has been used by the perpetrators to acquire identified and traced apartments, suites, houses in country and abroad, 22 fuel haulage trucks, and the incorporation, acquisition, and operation of oil marketing companies to compete with the oil marketing companies they were regulating. The OSP, before the end of June, would file criminal charges against the first batch of the perpetrators and complicit oil marketing companies and their officials. Upon filing, we will brief you in detail in respect of who did what, who acquired what, and what has been recovered.
Onyonyamfo Haruna Ijusu eyesofo ono na ehye enwumesia ensem eso enro dampenfo abomoden apaw eye impedufo a ono ekosuapon ahodo no emukmeche universities ninyina ense wokwakobo ma adesua ho nsem no etimi afanente mapa no ejina eninti suapon no bi enegimpa Ghana Communication Technology University and AFE Chartered Institute of Human Resources Management.
Institutions and agencies, or call it ministries, departments, and agencies, shall submit annual report to Parliament. That report shall include the number of persons employed over a period, the number of existing staff, and those likely even to exit. But I know when it goes to Parliament, me and you, we are not thorough enough to look at it and even look and see whether the numbers have ballooned or not. The Institute of Human Resource, we need you to guide President Mahama with a paper on it. What is the ideal number of persons who ought to be in employment without just recruiting or employing for employment purposes? I know that the country has an unemployment crisis, and we need to respond to it, because by my measure, the best measure of honor, dignity, and livelihood is employment. A number of young girls and women in employment are harassed daily, who are unable to speak out and who are unable to articulate their concerns. That is not acceptable morally. So there are chief executives or deputy chief executives who abuse and take undue advantage of women in employment. Even at the point of when they are seeking their employment, they take advantage of their desperation. That is unacceptable. And the Chartered Institute of Human Resource, you must pay particular attention to this matter. As I said, it is in their quiet. You know, women by their training, when they are subjected to it, they rather hold it in shy or in shame, instead of wanting to share that indignity or humiliation in the hands of that powerful person who thinks that if you don't yield, you won't get the job. Even to the extent that promotion and transfers may also be candidates for that abuse. Then finally, as I said, is to congratulate you and wish you well.
The Institute is currently working on HR standards to guide and help organizations in both the public and private sectors to manage their human resources more effectively, ensuring compliance and efficiency and fairness.
Woman famu free some way so near fear in Chermu or Ghana Mampany, I say yet. O Chermu say, Sisia ne die, Oni ya Kora, Emrano ever so penchino, or no, say we are ne mammy bow, say we are ne papa bow. Enya de se obeka bia ma esan se yese de ade ne da no wan fan to efri to na afen so ono obu agana mamra ne pa enti enya de se obetoto na se na yese yase obi panchi obi akodi Ghana sika kakra wan yamani sika bi se wan fanya de na afa ne nsase na mra na so panchi a enya de se obeko ede na numpo akwakotum da bi yese de ade ne da no wan fan to aya na efri to enti obeja isa woni ya no na mra no ene na dini ye pa
program called Operation Recover All the Loot. It was a very popular program with Ghanaians, and anywhere you speak and you mention oral, I mean the applause and the response you get was very overwhelming. So it shows that it's an issue that Ghanaians are very concerned about. And of course, the fight against corruption must be important because the ordinary people realize that the more the political elite steal, the more fewer resources are available for the most important things like healthcare, like education, and so on and so forth. So I said last year before the election that this probably was going to be the last opportunity for us as the political leaders of this country to show Ghanaians that yes, we can have a democratic government that is accountable and that takes the fight against corruption seriously. And so since 7th January, we've been involved in a strong fight against corruption. We've published a code of conduct for political appointees, very stringent code of conduct. And we're going to have an orientation. I think Professor Dodo and the Chief of Staff have asked them to do an orientation for all our office holders, including our Chief Executive Officers and deputies and political appointees, to take them through the code of conduct so that they understand what is expected of them. One of the major problems that was affecting our fight against corruption was political interference. The anti-corruption agencies were not allowed to do their duty without being interfered with by the political elite. And there was a clear case in point when the special prosecutor came and said that the president had called him and asked him to stop a certain investigation, and the Minister of Finance had gone to his house to try to influence him to stop the investigation into the Ajapa, we call it the Ajapa deal. And so clearly, I mean, in the past there was an effort to interfere with the fight against corruption and restrain some of the anti-corruption agencies from doing their work. I have told the public and assured my Attorney General and Minister of Justice that I'm not going to interfere in their work. And that if the anti-corruption agencies go after anybody, I'm not going to try and influence them to drop any investigation against anybody, both for those who served in the previous regime, many cases of which we are currently investigating. We set up the oral committee. It identified 33 cases, and it was handed over to the Attorney General, and he's created special investigative teams to investigate each of them. Some of them, they have got found.
His Excellency Urajon Dramani Mahama and some Suna Yenji in Kato Embassy.
I go Ghana B, Mimba Nyomani, Ingbeji Jacqueline, the Mijay, Apam Global Outreach Solimo, Niwa Papa, Evangelist Papa ni Ajimai, in here one here. Kaja Benin Keba with Solin Monemi, Inwale Chaki, Nibi ni no mere fumomi, ne Kamishi, Ihani Mayano, La Monfonji ni la fair, Mene, is a fool, in me, in Nai, Min Chabu Anyami, Mini Jo Haumo, Muchumosani, Blanchine, Sikasani, Alumini Jo Haumo, Swan like Anyamime, Min Fonini Min Chabu, Never Fata in his so ne any bane, Kedasu. Ye Apam Solimo, Niyo, Swotum Rescue Point Junction, Nibu Owala, Ifina Kando, Yerano.
You say, I did not go to bet me. I'm a would you media woody and I did not walk. A bet me a bone de Roman, I didn't her, Mount for about the talk. The Sorion and our Pam TV. Got to see your man so a day a master for just on the Nebra. You would do and some mouth. Say yes, I say an auto, a dine and a woozy tongue, and a down near beer. Say yes to cool hospitals, supermarket, now person who do. Apam TV nkwa and I make for a day amount. When you money ekesi ketwa adantem modern say open any chemu baby say Apam TV. Na any mono open airtime at all. Say 30 minutes, 45 minutes and now 1 hour. Apam TV or what the mount. Say LPM so now open crawler and a squeeze bar. But modern say what the baba tanye. Here your purple a day amount. And say kumebi and a woman. She share a crime. I was such a rescue point, a hawk and a butu, and also free. I want my true voice. So 0599 002 463 924 and this our soul. Apam TV connecting souls to their great.
Mamba any day my that's our kind of home ama ya Jim Kato to answer so edi amam.
Ya to aso dia na ye de ani etwemu e wo mrahye bedwafie wa bra eye ministers eto ensa e de frɛ openi a wo hwe Ghana energy minister ye mpanifo eto ensa e de frɛ no se omra na omeyi ensemfo amienu miense bi ano. Ye nyina ye wo Ghana ha yanka bia nhim da ba akopɛ ye sorry ya ye say containers 500 ayira ewo port enunti mpanifo ebo modia e de omona SC honomo SC form ebo modia ye nhwehwemu na no na emrahye bedwafie ewo Parliament House eto ensa e de frɛ Owura John Abdullahi Jenapo se omra no meyi nsem no ano okodu ho no e na o kire mu se aseda PSA emfa enko ema ECG ena afei enso so wono mo ye adwuma e wo port esan se omo aboa no yie pa e wo ne hwehwemu no enye sade a enka enya de se obehu ombehu sa containers ni nyina afei so aseda PSA biem ensan so emfa enko ema transport minister se enya ono a enka sa containers ni nyina omo ehu opani no e kire ni nsemu se
containers. I don't think that all of them will be scrap items. So I presume that they'll be useful items. The estimated value, we have to get the containers and then do the estimates, because unless they use the contractual value, and that is where you are seeing the 14 billion in excess. Those are the contractual values. So if you want to know the contractual value, don't go and just ask yourself what contracts were awarded, because it's the contract that tells you the value. So the contractual value will be the 8 billion and the 8 billion, which tells you that it's about 16 billion. And that is straightforward. Then there was an issue of authority. I noticed, I mean, the authority has is joined to Volta, and the transmission line is 69 kV. It's supposed to be a 161 kV. So if we are able to change it to 161 with the needed substations, it would boost the system, and we are working on that. Then how many containers? I think I've been very clear on that. That at the transition, I was told about 3,000. Then I went to the port and I said, look, let's get to the bottom of it. That's why the committee was established. If you could take figures off like that, then you won't need a committee. And the committee says that ECG could not clear 2,491 containers based on the information ECG gave them officially. That's the figure. The committee is a committee. They ask ECG, okay, how many containers do you have? ECG says, as far as our records are concerned, it's 2,491. Then the committee says, okay, let's go and verify. And that is here. It's not my report. I'm not a member of the committee. I didn't go to investigate. I set up a committee. And the committee submitted a report. And as you can see, list of containers obtained. Gapoha, ECG, containers, and then they said that, Chairman, let me quote it well, 1,328 could not be assessed by the committee. That means that the committee could not account for 1,300. And as minister said, let's go further. In fact, when this issue was reported, right after the report, I kept quiet. What brought this matter up was when the minority went to parliament and raised it, if you remember. And I had to come and respond. So, not to belabor the point.
Ghana man penny edi to just say afi emu eye July ni da edi kan no eya de awono ede empire bokese o mamuni na ede besihye so na ede ada twedi ampo nyankopon ase eni nti wono atuni din National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving. Na jemtinani edema planning committee no eni ononyamfo ora Elvis efuye Ankara. Openino edensem atu eja wobra obonan ekohia eye chief imam ora sheik no hunsharebutu edensem atu nenim acheche kwan a wono ebefa so edi wono ejima eno no enam so ama chief imam so edensem atu eja sei.
At the peace of this country, that story cannot be told without the massive singular contribution of the chief imam. Looking at this country, Ghana, looking at this country where every 4 years it's as if the country is going to explode. Some way, somehow, we manage to go through. Looking at the sub-region, looking at the turmoil, the confusion, and some way, somehow, Ghana is an oasis of peace in the midst of all. They believe that this is not the doing of man, but it is the doing of the Lord. Amen. And as he has come back as president, having gone back to reflect for 8 years, he believes that the hand of God is critical to move this nation to the next level. Therefore, the president has declared that the 1st July of every year, which we all know is Republic Day, has to be moved to another level. To thank God and appreciate him for his abundant mercies and the goodness that he has shown to us. And so he put together this committee made up of Christians, Muslims, so that on the 1st of July, we'll all come together and praise God and thank him for his goodness and his mercies. We are here to inform our father, the chief imam, that by the grace of God, on Tuesday, the 1st of July, in the morning, there's going to be a Christian service from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the forecourt of the State House. And then subsequently, from 12:30 noon to 2 p.m., our Muslim community would also have their Thanksgiving at the National Mosque at Kanda. The program is supposed to happen simultaneously in all the 16 regions and all the 261 districts, just like the 6th of March.
A meeting of such nature that brings together followers of different religions for us to meet and consult ourselves is a very basis, the reason for which we must be thankful to God. It's not all other nations that have this opportunity. And secondly, the sense of harmony and peace in terms of relationships that goes on between followers of different religions is a reason for which we must be thankful to God. A very huge grace what God has done has offered to us. For may God now enhance and open up more doors for such harmony. We pray for the president of the nation. May God be behind and support him. His appointees from the vice president down to even the MCEs, may God help them to be loyal to him and support him in pursuing that which brings the best of prosperity to our country, to help him in all his ambitions and expectations that he has.
Kiso ato forcing ena eye oman photosan for na ode ensembi atudwa babreko piemu ewo mrahyebejo fie wo kyeremu se sisi o matebri sika te se sika butini bebrebe bi te se 2.33 billion Ghana cedis omo every health insurance no fund ni emu na sikei omude ebetuatua ekabia eye wonom ede ena afen nso omude bi ebe hye eye mahama care ni mu se ne be ya ebetumi aboa.
To report that under the leadership of President Mahama and the NDC, for the first time in several months, transfer to all statutory funds have been made promptly and in full. The Speaker, we have not just made them, but also in full. Notably, all transfers due the National Health Insurance Fund for the period covering January, February, March have been paid in full. The Speaker, a total amount of 2,469,607 Ghana cedis has been disbursed to the National Health Insurance Fund, and they have received the funds. These disbursements have enabled the National Health Insurance Scheme to settle arrears owed to healthcare providers and to implement the free primary health care and the Ghana Medical Care Trust Program, otherwise known as Mahama Cares. Mr. Speaker, similarly, the Ghana Education Trust Fund, GET Fund, has received a total of 2,710,227,947 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, 2.7 billion Ghana cedis for the month of January, February, March, and April 2025, all transferred and received by the Ghana Education Trust Fund. As earlier announced in the 2025 budget, funding for the free senior high school program is now fully covered under the GET Fund.
Yadaswa ejremu ewo mrahyebejo fie na chese o man photosam for Dr. Case or Atoba Forson ensema odiko 2 ejano yenina yenim say energy sector levy eye adea na ewo hodadada na mpenifo ekyeremu say ye hye eye nyina manwodin kanea no ehudwumedi a wodi no a eno ena wo yisa foto ni bi na wodi etuetu aka eno no enam so ama openini kopiem ewo mrahyebejo fie no ode atu eja say wono ede eto foforo eba na akwakohye eye energy sector levy no emu sane ebebo ma ekebia ewo nyina manwodin ho nsem no obetumi afabi na wodi akwakotua openinu kyeremu say yeto fango a empeso na edaso no eno ene yedi betua eka no.
Subsequently, revenue to fund the needs in the power sector. Government is proposing an increase in Apam price of petrol, diesel, and related products. The impact will be absorbed by the gains made from the strong performance of the Ghana cedis. The Speaker, I repeat, the impact will be absorbed by the gains made from the strong performance of the Ghana cedis. And this will mean that consumers will not have to pay extra for the price of petrol and diesel beginning today. Right, Honorable Speaker, our simulations suggest that there will be no increase in the export price of petrol and diesel in the next window beginning today if the levy is imposed. This is because of a strong Ghana cedi. Right, Honorable Speaker, the levy will serve as a dedicated source of funding to the power sector, and the proceeds will be earmarked for the procurement of essential fuel for power generation. The Speaker, this will ensure that Ghana enjoys stable electricity.
What is before us is the Energy Sector Levy Amendment Bill, and basically it is saying that Ghanaians should give one Ghana cedi each when they buy a liter of fuel, so that we can end doom so. That's all. One cedis. All of us should contribute 1 cedis. Just 1 cedi per, so that we can end doom so. 1 cedi. Each of us, when we buy fuel, 1 liter.
The prices are going down.
1 cedi. And Mr. Speaker, it is not e-levy.
Yes, it is what to etch to a more a yinka and in a hana brother my quine. Nay, de numerous young Cassini na abanaway. Mastro, baby, I ought to 4 bonny, I know who he and a pan. Yamia doma. And acquire Wednesday, Yamia doma Thursday. Send him the I can't and Yamima. Ebedia share ewo Apam Global Outreach Asafo. You try quine, nye penacra, the yanes or faka. No, I catch your mate in an answer driver in say any day more. On siu our rescue junction or baby siu boko. Esan say pesa obey your antino. Bomodiano timpeni for homa e was 0249669993 and now say 0540 378282 0540 378282 now ne empeni for a church or quine said a bear or betimi ababe kaya hunyame adumochna me pacho to Gideana mo esan say yes Gideana mo ayu to no dio Gideano. Omeka ye ho ewo Nsroma Kaseɛbɔ so na Nsroma Kaseɛbɔ no ehɔ a eneye Apam Global Outreach Asafo enti mesro wani die mu ase fa akoma pa gidie ebeka ye ho ne yemompa ye endwiri eginatu boni bia asefo no egina ede amaye meje di se obeba nyankopon hiro nso se obeba mesro ahoma na mede etu dwa no ebia na pesa wo join ne prayer line no so a ekwanya wo ho me pacho ya nye okapre anase ebeje osempo ada bi. The hiane say we follow process no na waba beka ye ho e wo ye prayer line no so ye di mpa ye wo ho esan say Kristoni yakode eye mpa bo na abri bia e wo se ye bom mpa ye ni enti no e na mpanimfo ehu ye mobo e criti prayer line say be ya abri bia betimi abom mpa ye no me pa cho sanso e frem mpanimfo e wo 0249669993 na omo e be tro e kwan abe fa so a obe join prayer line no me pa cho e be hwe wanim nyambo china say Yesu ama edi ya meje so asida PSC no enko Emma production team ni nyina edi a meje so e ka kire nua nana ya Sikapa mene
nana ama Fordjour
ya da wase se oje break an ye ho ya kramo
Nyame asumdwe enka mo